ooh, Dad. But maybe not. I don't know. I don't know them, obviously, any of them. But they're also not, saying a whole lot of stupid stuff daily. It's mind-boggling for me.
Very, very. Do you think he's like, what's the guy? I can't think of his name. The one who they said who's really running the country. I don't want to say, is it Spencer?
His spokesperson? Or is
not the spokesperson, the other guy?
That's Chris Spicer.
Spicer is the spokesperson. So Spencer is the Bannon. The one who has ties to the KKK.
That one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm jumping out of the window.
She's right.
I know.
Shout out to Rosie O'Donnell's.
Yeah, she ain't no joke.
I don't know. They say I don't know if I think he's a puppet. I just think he's working with others that are very like-minded.
I agree.
Others that are like-minded.
Clearly.
And they're saying if we could get away with it, what will it hurt? Hey, let's do it and see what we can get away with.
It's like that's human nature. I'm going to try something.
Mm-hmm.
If it works once, I'm going to keep trying it because it's worked in the past.
Right. But back to DeVos.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm beginning I've been feeling like this for a while. It's kind of like, at one point they said a separation of church and state.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at this point we need to have a separation of education and government. And I've been feeling like that locally, what's been going on here locally. But now it's like, oh my goodness.
Yes. Homeschool. When I was married, I used to say, if we have to eat paper and ish, and I meant it. My children were going to private school just because I worked in a public school, and it was very difficult to give the children what they needed because they had such diverse needs.
Mm-hmm.
Came from such diverse backgrounds. Definitely, I'm old now, but if I have some children, a child, again, I'm 40, so I'm like, that's okay, Jesus, just want to work.
This is the year of the doubles.
That's not funny.
Right, yeah, the doubles.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna drop one on each of your porches. Here you go.
Like, what's this?
This is Tasha's kid. She can't just pull off like that. Left oatmeal in the carrier. No, but seriously, like, feed my baby. No, I don't think that I would put my children in this climate. You mentioned locally. Here in Chicago, it's just a hot mess. Unfortunately, teachers are being asked to do more and more with less and less. And the latest
letter
thing
from CPS this week.
Well, see, now I'm a little detached. Tell us about the letter.
The letter, it was interesting. It was a long letter. I breezed through it, but it was basically Clarence Claypool, who's the CEO of CPS. Forrest Claypool.
Who's had every
top position in the city of Chicago, and none of them have anything to do with education, too. But he's basically was throwing the governor under the bus, saying that they chose to freeze so many millions of dollars that they're going to need, and there's going to be more cuts, and they're going to affect the schools. The same old rigmarole they've been saying for years.
Right.
But now they're right back there, and this time he threw the governor under the bus. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm so sick of this.
This was pre-Rauner. I'm not a Rauner fan.
Right.
Any stretch of the imagination.
Right. It's been going on for some time.
But this is pre-him. That's not even fair.
Right. Right.
This is not.
Right.
It's
not fair. They had on the ballot last year in the city if you thought that, it should be a school board versus the city running the education. And I voted that it should be a school board.
An elected school board.
I prefer that versus the other ones who are ill managing our school and our children's needs.
Who was the Secretary of Education under President Obama initially? Arnie Duncan. Nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Has ties to my family personally. But dude, you a ball player. How, as Fred says, I'm going to be Fred today. Why folk come? Did you get this position? However, I trust him little more than this divorced person.
Oh, yeah.
Today, she was blocked from entering. That tickled Tamiko. She was blocked from entering a public school in D.C. Now, I ain't a divorce fan, but I would not have done it that way. I don't think that was fair. I think being in someone's personal space is grounds for a butt whooping.
But she had Secret Service, don't she?
She had somebody with her who was literally physically escorting her.
Service too.
But I don't think that was the way to go about it. You may disagree with her policy, with her stance, with her desire to protect children from grizzly bears, but you can't be in her personal space. And I don't think that was the best way to go about it. And in fact, it may have hurt, a little bit of their credibility, because then now you're aggressive. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that their feelings weren't justified.
Right.
So I don't want to confuse the two, but the methodology, I wasn't down with. Although I chuckled a little bit at the video.
Yeah, it was a little funny. It was funny, but
thank God we're in a country now where we can protest without having hoses blown on, blowing our faces off.
Exactly.
Because if we would have done that several years ago, we couldn't have even.
You'd have been shot.
Yeah. So.
You'd have been shot, and so I think that's the scary piece. The Make America Great Again is trying to revert back to that. Hundreds of immigrants were rounded up today. And detained. That happened today. And we're a podcast, so you might catch this a little later, but the immigrant communities are terrified. So undocumented workers were rounded up in various parts of the country, and
here in the U.S.
Yeah. And this was according to the Washington Post. I do a lot of reading on the train.
Like here in the U.S.
Right, really? And normally, so under the Obama administration, it used to happen, basically they would target criminals. It was, okay, you're undocumented, but you're a criminal. These were people who had not broken any laws, of course, except for the, come here legally piece. I get that. But stop laughing at me, Jamie. To round them up the way that it was done.
Kind of like a dog catcher kind of vibe?
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny you use that analogy, because that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it went. So people are terrified. And so, not only immigrants, but immigrant activists were rounded up. So who knows what that's going. It just reminded me of, I don't know, Nazi. I don't know. I
wonder how did they go? What was their strategy for who to target? You know what I mean?
I'm sure that there are watchers. We tease all the time that Big Brother is watching, but absolutely you know who your activists are. You know who is active in the community. And if you scare somebody bad enough, they're going to talk. So
true.
There could have been a variety of ways.
Some don't have to be scared. Just throw them a bone and they going to holler.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a whole different show.
True.
Absolutely. So it's just been hella crazy here in the U.S. But again, for people of color, unfortunately, this isn't surprising. We're just kind of sitting back like, we said this. I think it's surprising to our wonderful white friends who are appalled. Like, wait a minute. And we're like, no, this is what we had said the whole time. This is not a new narrative for us.
Right.
We've watched it.
And it's going to continue. Like we said last week, this is going to be some interesting months ahead.
Yeah. I am friends with some of my students on Facebook because they're adults. And I laugh at their banter. Of course, you have some people who support 45, some people who don't support 45. But I think my concern now is for the people who supported 45 and now have buyer's remorse. They're like, wait. That's not quite
what you think was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because what makes you think that a 70-year-old man is going to do something different than what he's done?
Yeah.
They don't change.
They don't.
You get that old, you just do what you say you're going to do.
That's why old people are cantankerous and say whatever.
Yeah.
Because
right.
I had another 5, 10, 20 years.
He was crazy when he was running for office.
You voted for him.
And he was dead serious.
He told you what he was going to do, so I don't...
Yeah, I get it. Fat meat is greasy.
Right. Like, you thought it was a joke?
Yeah. And I normally have remorse and grace for people. I don't have any grace. I'm sorry. If somebody tells you, I'm a killer.
Right.
And then they kill somebody. Oh my God, he really did that?
Wow.
You just thought he was playing around?
Right. Exactly that.
Do you believe that some of the people, there were some people, I know some, he put in one of the members of Aerosmith on the ballot because he didn't want to vote for anyone. Do you think some of those people and those that didn't vote at all, or those who chose some Green Party candidate, are just as much to blame for where we are now?
No, because he still lost the popular vote. It didn't matter. Let's get rid of the Electoral College. How about that?
Yeah.
Remember, and we talked about it on a previous show, the Electoral College was put in place not because, we're going to let these people represent the interests of the people. No, it was specifically to avoid that when the founding fathers, not my founding fathers, because my people weren't here in government, but when the founding fathers were concerned that a real democracy would strip them of their power.
Right.
They were like, wait a minute, this probably ain't no good idea. Yeah, I know, an electoral college. And so it's kind of like divide and conquer. If I can tell you, well, you can be a part of the electoral college, now you feel included and you're more likely to do what I do, but I'm still not representing your interests. You just feel a certain way. Right. I think that's what, a lot of the complaint was, particularly in the African American community, about the Democratic Party, that they just continue to court us, and then, nothing changes.
And I get it, because I feel like even now they're too silent.
Absolutely.
They're too silent.
I think that I think when I was younger and foolish, I declared myself, a Democrat. But I would absolutely put myself as an independent voter, because there are some things I disagree with.
Agree with.
Right. On either side.
Right.
And, that's independent. So, but no, I don't think they cost the election. It was what it was. And he was selected for whatever reason. I think I mentioned on the show, I'm not sure if you were here, but I can't call his name. He's a political, Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd was on, I can't remember if it was a morning or evening show, because when the politics happened, everything began to blend together, me and the Benadryl, as I mentioned earlier. But he said that the rural white voter has felt so unrepresented in the last 8 years. So much like when President Obama decided he was going to run, and so many people who had felt underrepresented jumped at the opportunity to perhaps see their interests represented. The same thing happened in the inverse. These people were like, nothing has been done for us. This guy's saying, particularly if you can convince uneducated people that the immigrant is their enemy, then they will do whatever you say. When really, nobody's moving in your interest, regular working class Joe or Jill.
Not at all.
They're just not. But, if I can convince you otherwise, it's history repeating itself. If I can, there was an uprising, don't make me quote the year, but I was a social studies teacher. And there was an uprising where poor blacks and poor whites bound together and whooped the crap out of their oppressor. And they immediately understood, we can't let this happen. Let's convince these poor white folks that the reason they can't get jobs is because of these N-words. And so now, even if I'm as poor as you, I can, develop a classism and, I'm broke and, I'm doing, whatever I'm doing, but I'm still not an N-word.
Right.
And so you get some of that. Today.
You definitely do.
It hasn't changed. If you can keep the people divided and infighting, they're not going to notice that you're stealing from everybody.
Right.
And that's kind of where you are. So I'm tired of them. I want to talk to our guests.
Yay! Happy news!
Yay!
We survived that.
Right. For 29 minutes.
Wow.
So I mentioned that our guest was my friend. I always call him the incomparable Jamie Simon. I'm sure he rolls his eyes. Singer, songwriter, producer, actor. No, I made that part up.
Speaking something into your life.
I know, I'm seasoned. You did real good in that video. I'm just saying it's pretty hot.
kind of video is this?
Now wait a minute.
I know. Forgive me.
I'm not trying to ruin his rap.
I think Fred's spirit has gotten into me this evening.
Fred been possessing me, so Lord have mercy.
Somebody got to represent for the ignorancy that goes on down here.
And that's Fred's word. Ariel's word.